Hello and welcome back to Darren Doing. I'm Will Hester and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben, what the fuck just happened this weekend?
Are we back?
We
I
might
feel
be
like
back.
I feel like we're fucking back. We are back.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
I feel like I'm
You
dreaming.
posted that, didn't you? On Twitter?
That video killed me. Like that was the last thing I watched before I went to bed on Saturday night. What a weekend! What a day!
Mate, proper summed it up. I'm so annoyed at myself because I was not in a good place the international break. The last pod I was scrambling. By the way, before I get onto this, I'm getting a lot of comments about my internet. I am gonna see how this goes this episode, and then I'm gonna if it's shit, I'm gonna get a booster. I'm gonna have to get a booster.
Nice.
It
It might be the Streamlabs thing that we use. It generally might be. Mine cuts out sometimes as well. Yeah. The thing is, we've used various different things. Anyone that was listening to Darren and Doing at the start will remember the North London Derby episode where it fucking went out of sync about halfway in. So we've had issues with basically everything that we've used. So
hopefully it's all right. But I weren't in the last episode. I was not in a good mindset at all. I did not want to fucking talk about Spurs. I didn't even want to think about Spurs, and my headspace was all over the place. But right when you start doubting, when you start losing, it's fucking Tottenham. They always
just when I think I'm out,
back in, mate.
They pull me back in,
mate. It was like. I am still annoyed at myself though because I chose to go to work. I was so dead certain we were going to lose 4-0.
Yeah,
so dead certain. I woke up and I texted my mate and I was like, "Mate, I could just feel it in my balls. We're getting dicked. Like I'm going to work. Like I'm not watching this game. I can't. I was even considering fucking getting into UFC, Ben, this week. This past week.
In the trenches.
I was in the trenches, mate. My mental health was like just fucking all over the place when it comes to Spurs. And fucking couldn't have asked for anything better, mate. How do we do it?
How do we do it?
Man City, right? How do we do it, mate? Let's get into it.
The power of friendship and vibes. Remember that edit that was going around of just like City and Pep, just like tactics, and we're just there like Harry Kane video of him singing Burner Boy in the dressing room. It's like the power of friendship. We completely outplayed them. Like it was an absolute masterclass, really. I didn't see it coming. Do you know what? I actually felt quietly confident. Not that we'd go and smash them, but like obviously there's this whole Spursy thing and blah, blah, blah. Like we shouldn't have lost to Ipswich. Yeah, I get that. But I know, regardless of what the last game was, whether we'd lost it or won it, this team under this manager is capable of performances like that. It really is. Yeah. And it was kind of a perfect melting pot of obviously the fact that we've got a good record against City. Obviously, they're struggling at the moment. I think the fact that they're obviously massively struggling probably lent more into the narrative of like, well, the Dr. Tottenham thing, if anything. Even City can get it. It's like, well, if you need a win, come and play us. But it doesn't quite work like that with those kind of teams. But it just, we were just miles better than them. Miles better than them. Obviously, we started the game on the back foot. I thought we were going to struggle to deal with Foden and Savinho. I thought they were kind of picking up a lot of space and pockets, and they were kind of just buzzing around Haaland, like Savinho especially as well. There was a couple of times where he had some lovely touches, and he's a player, by the way. He massively faded out the game, and so did Foden, but I thought we were in trouble in the first 5 or 10 minutes. And obviously, especially with the not good feeling going in, or the bad feeling going into the game, when you see your team kind of getting opened up a bit like that. But then also, I think you have to kind of zoom out and remember that it's Man City, and regardless of the fact they've lost 4 in a row or not, they're still going to be able to hurt you. They hurt us in the cup. They'll hurt every team. They hurt Sporting Lisbon in that first half, but they end up getting fucking slumped. They are still an amazing side, but I was going to say we hung in there, but we didn't. 15 minutes in, kind of first for raw forward, or for 12 minutes in, or whatever it was, and we scored a goal and exploited the space that they've been left them behind, their vulnerability. I don't think it's always completely accurate just to blame it on the fact they haven't got Rodri. I think it's just generally a lack of mobility in midfield that they are really struggling with. And I actually think that, I don't want to take it away from Spurs, but like one thing you have to look at with City, which I find it puzzling really, and people will criticise our transfer business sometimes. Their squad building over the last few years has been actually horrific if you think about it.
Shit, mate.
So
Terrible.
shit. And then you look at the weekend and you look at like Liam Delap. Obviously, they don't need a striker. Haaland has accumulated. Like, it's Haaland as their top scorer and then just fucking no one. You know, they're not scoring goals.
All these players they're leaving.
Palmer, Liam Delap, fucking Lavia. Like, these are all kind of players that they could maybe do with now, really. So they've kind of let all these young players go, and they've kind of got lauded for the money that they got for them. But in reality, they could kind of use them, especially that mobility. There's a real lack of freshness, I think, about this City team, and that's why I thought we could really capitalise on it. Because again, forget the Ipswich game, forget Palace or whatever, forget the fact that our away form isn't great, and forget the fact that we are up and down. 90 minutes is 90 minutes, and with the energy and freshness that we've got and the composure that we've got playing out from the back, which again was something that I was worried about going into the game without Romero, especially, we can hurt them. And we've just got their number, haven't we? And we were absolutely brilliant. Like, not just, do you know what? I didn't really think about it at the time. That's not just one of Spurs' best results under Ange, probably the best result under Ange, which is the weird thing about this season, the fact that we've had probably 3 games like the worst game under Ange, and then like 3 games which are probably like the best game under Ange, like
I know,
Villa and fucking Man City, and that just shows you what a weird fucking team we are. But I don't really know what I was going to say then. But
can I just say, fuck Man City, mate? They're pissing me off. Genuinely, I know they've given us a lot of like amazing wins, but like you're saying, it's so true. Like they are at the end of this cycle.
They are. I said it after the Sporting Lisbon game, that first defeat that they had in that run. No, we were the first defeat, weren't we? We started it. Did we start it?
No, was it Bournemouth and then we had him? Or no. We started it and then they lost to Bournemouth. Yeah, we did start it.
Yeah,
we did.
We fucking started it.
We started it. But I mean, like them bringing like Gundogan back, he's done. Carl Walker. Yeah. Fucking hell, he is done. Like, I've never seen a right back drop off within 6 months before the football.
Mate, this has been coming like with Walker, I think.
Yeah.
His one USP has gone. It's his pace. I said it in the Euros in the summer. He was absolutely shit for England, and it was like it's not just like his defensive ability. It's not just the lack of pace. He hasn't got anywhere near enough quality on the ball to be starting regularly for Man City anymore. I'm sorry. That's just like the amount of times for England where it would be like Saka would get down the right-hand side and cut it back, and then you're thinking, right, whip that ball in the box. You've got Bellingham and Kane in there running in. No, I'm just going to put my foot on the ball and just recycle the possession. He's like, you cunt, you fucking cunt. Like, get Trent on the pitch now.
But thank fuck for Liverpool, like, coming up when they have, because Man City, it was always coming, and they were coming to the end of the cycle, and it was like, because Arsenal were the only threat, really. They were looking like the only threat last year. So you're just like, oh my God, thank God Arnie's slot, mate, just come in and sort of just replace City at the moment. I think City will be back, but the like you're saying, the decision makings have been ridiculous. Like selling Cole Palmer, they're like buying Gundogan back and stuff like that. Maybe they should keep hold of Marge Simpson's pussy or wherever it's because they're like they need to now like begin this new sort of transition again, and now Guardiola signed a new contract. I mean, obviously I'm fucking talking about Man City too much, but the whole narrative was from Sky Sports. Sky Sports couldn't handle what we did to Man City because their narrative, their producer, they'd already planned for Pep Guardiola's back with a new contract. They're back after the international break. They didn't actually fucking know what to say. They were talking more about Man City being shit than how good we were.
I've got to say that other than Gary Neville, Gary Neville flip-flops on Spurs quite a lot, but Gary Neville gave us a lot of credit, to be fair, during the game. But I think in terms of the breakdown, like the analysis after the game, it was like, this is a crisis for Man City. It wasn't anything about, I sort of turned it off because I was just like, I knew what was coming. As soon as the game was done, I turned it off. Well, one, because I had to do work, like content, but two, I was like, I ain't listening to that shit. Like, give me Ange's interview on Spurs play in half an hour and I will be there. Give me, like, I want to listen to Kulusevski. I want to listen to Maddison. I don't want to listen to fucking Jamie Redknapp. Like, actually, I don't mind Jamie
Michael Richards.
Yeah.
Who was there? I can't remember.
I think it was Redknapp. Because Jamie Redknapp kept calling Kulusevski Kulusevski. And it was like,
shut up.
You know, like, have you ever watched Friends?
Yeah.
You know the bit where Phoebe's teaching Joey French? It's just like, literally like that. But we were absolutely sensational.
I just want to say, Bernardo Silva, he's a little rat, mate. I hate him, and I feel like he's having a little bit of a downfall as well, and I kind of love to see it. But we'll get into him in a minute.
Loved him as a player,
I'm worried that they're now looking at Kulusevski, mate. Like now he's coming to the end to fill that role. I'm fucking so worried. But we'll get into Kulusevski later. John Bass said that he said on the Fighting Cock, which was so true. He said that there's like a misconception around Postecoglou's philosophy and tactics. Like they're different. Like they are different. There's people that think his philosophy and tactics are the same thing, where it's all out like terrible, like not terrible. It's just all out attack, which like completely exploits the defense, but we don't care. Like it's not true, because he is able to adapt to his opponent. But the non-negotiable is that he never stops, like the never stop idea, and to always show that threat on goal. What adjustments were made in this game? That, because for me, like every time we did break and we did have an attack, we were there in numbers and we smelt blood. Like City were trailing back and we would absolutely bombard them and overwhelm them with runners from deep. Porro's goal was a perfect example of that. Obviously Maddison made that running behind for his first goal. We were a little bit more passive and pragmatic in the way we set up. We were, but that didn't take anything away from our attacking prowess, because we were brilliant and we knew exactly how and where to hurt Man City.
Yeah.
And but how did we do it? How did we shape up that completely nullified Manchester City?
Well, first of all, John's completely right. This is something I've been saying for quite a long time about Ange and Spurs, is that there is this massive misconception around Ange's philosophy and tactics, and the mentality and the philosophy is to never give in, never give up, intensity in every action all the time. Like, but people will ignore the tactical adjustments and just like that they think that they're kind of the same thing. And obviously your philosophy breeds into your tactics. Of course it does. And it does with Ange. I think it probably does with Ange more than many other managers, really. I think there is out of all managers in the Premier League, there is probably the clearest link between those two things out of anybody, I would say. But people will refuse to acknowledge the adjustments that he makes. So it doesn't buy into the narrative that he has one way to play, he's one-dimensional, blah, 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 a load of fucking bollocks. Obviously, he had to adapt, because the fact we obviously lost a very important ball progressor in Romero in this game, and City were going to press us high, as they always do. They are one of the most intense pressing teams in the league. And obviously, without Romero at the back and Dragusin with his vulnerability on the ball, we were probably all worried. That said, we didn't buckle and we kept doing it. I was speaking about before the game about the fact that with City wanting to press high and you've got Solanke as a weapon, the breakdown on the overlap, Harrison and Amir did a really good piece on Spurs, kind of breaking down the season about a week or so ago, during the international break.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the fact that we very rarely utilize that kind of, not long ball into Solanke, but that sort of clip ball out from the back from the keeper or one of the centre-backs into him to chest it down. He's a monster at winning those duels, and you can play off him, especially with how brilliant we are in transition. It's an easier way to kind of get up the pitch quickly. And I was actually listening. I went on a long walk this afternoon before the podcast. I was listening to Ange Ball, and they were. It was kind of the reason that Ange doesn't like doing that is because of the fact that you are a much higher percentage of kind of losing a duel in the middle of the pitch, and then the attack springs back on you, whereas you're much more likely to open up a team. But everyone fucking knows that about playing out from the back. But obviously, when you lose your best player at being able to do that in Romero, you think, okay, maybe Ange, like in this game, they're going to be bang up for it. And they did start well, obviously, in the game. So I was a bit worried. However, one of the main things that I noticed, and it's something that I highlighted quite a lot in my YouTube breakdown, was James Maddison's role. And Ange spoke about Maddison's role quite a lot before the game, and it was almost like it was he wanted him in midfield to be able to allow us to get on the ball more. Like Kulusevski's been excellent, and he's amazing at ball retention, but I don't really want Kulusevski in those tight spaces when you're trying to play out from the back. He's much better off leaving further forward. He can come back and win duels and help you out and win the ball back in both thirds of the pitch. He's won the ball back the most in the final third out of any other player in the Premier League this season, Decky, but he can also do it in your defensive third as well. And we saw that quite a few times as well. But I don't want. I didn't think Maddison was going to start, but I did kind of want him to, because I think you want someone in there that is comfortable under pressure, that is composed on the ball when they're trying to press you. I didn't necessarily expect Maddison to drop as deep as he was. And one thing I did think about the way we set up on Saturday was that left-hand side dynamic, which I think has actually kind of been a bit underrated this season with Son and Doggy. Doggy's getting a lot of criticism, and I'm not having it. I'll be honest. I'm not.
I loved him yesterday.
I thought he was brilliant. Do you know what it really reminded me of? And I said it in my video. It really reminded me of early 23-24 season Spurs. A Doggy was inverting a lot. Son was going on the outside of him, and it was obviously something they'd identified because of Walker's. Son's losing his pace a little bit as well, but you want Son 1v1 against Walker, I think, in this instance. And a Doggy was coming.
Walker's Alzheimer's couldn't fucking handle that shit.
Well, exactly. One of them is aging like a fine wine in Sonny, and one of them is not. And I actually thought Sonny had a really good game until he came off. I think, again, it's just about managing his minutes. But what we were doing really nicely was Maddison was, a lot of the time, it kind of only actually happened after the first goal. And I don't think it was necessarily just a confidence thing. Although I think when Maddison scored that, I know it's easy to say, and I think it's easy to say about a player like Maddison, but I think you just saw his shoulders just puff up. Do you know what I mean? You just saw him just like elevate after the goal. Like, give me the ball, like, all the time. I also think that the fact that we scored that goal meant we got more of a grip on the game. Therefore, we saw more of the ball. So he was coming into it naturally. He wasn't in the game for the first 10, 15 minutes because we didn't have the ball for the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Until we scored. So it's partly that. But you just saw his confidence just skyrocket. And his role in this was so important in the game. Like, he for me was the man of the match. And it's obviously to say because he scored 2 goals. And I think it was really close between him and Decky. And we'll talk about some of the other performances later. But I thought Maddison's calmness under pressure, there was so many times where he'd just drop into that left back position, offer that simple pass to from Ben Davies to him, and help us play out. And it was also attracting a lot of City players over to our left hand side to try and press and win the ball back. And it also meant that they were then leaving Porro and Sarr or Kulusevski or whoever in quite a lot of space on that right hand side. So it was working for Spurs to be able to play out and create overloads on the counter attack and move forward up the pitch. There was an amazing move that we put together, which should have ended in a goal to make it 3. What did it make? 3 or 2 now? I can't remember. Where Decky cut it back for Son. He just wasn't in the right position, and otherwise he would have scored. Where Maddison plays that little scoop pass when he's literally on the byline in our own, like, just outside of our own box, and they work it out. And it's like, that was so important for Maddison. And he just, like, I think one thing with Mads is that obviously, I mean, there's something in the running order there. You said, was this Maddison's most complete performance in the Spurs shirt? Absolutely, yes. And I think that I wanted to talk about it, and I spoke about it in a TikTok that I also posted on Twitter, so some people might have seen it, but I found the narrative around Maddison this season really weird. Really, really weird. Like, he has dropped 2, for me, 10 out of 10 performances this season, genuine 10 out of 10 performances, and they were against Brentford and against Man City. And then there's been the United game to go along with that as well. There's been the Everton game where he was excellent in that one as well at home, just bossing it in that deeper role. And obviously he got 2 goals on Saturday. This position, this role for him isn't necessarily always about the goals and assists, which doesn't necessarily lend itself to what people think about Madders as a player, because at Leicester, it was all about goals and assists. He was the number 10 behind Vardy. You know, it was very much like that. He was right up the top of the league for goals and assists. He's got more goals and assists than any Spurs player this season, playing in a deeper role where he is allowed to make those runs kind of beyond the striker, which we saw for the first goal. How many times have we seen that this season as well? The Everton game, it came to my mind straight away. There's little dink balls over the top from Romero, I think, where he was running on and getting in behind. He did it twice, and he probably should have scored twice in the game. But he was winning duels. He was winning the ball back. He was calm under pressure. He wasn't giving it away. He was excellent. And I think about England, and I think about, I've said this for a while, like, if you want a deep line playmaker to sit alongside Declan Rice, yes, Maddison can be inconsistent at times, and yes, he is quite injury prone at points, that he won't always play a full season. You've got the perfect player there to sit alongside Declan Rice, in my opinion, for England, in James Maddison. And he needs to get back in that England squad under Tuchel for me. And I think he will. I think he will. I think he's perfect for that sort of deep line playmaker role. And I think he's thriving in it. I think he really is. And like I said, I found the narrative around him that he's playing badly and he's been dropped and blah, 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 blah. I can probably tell you a couple of games he's been bad in this season. It was Galatasaray and fucking, I don't know, another one. I can't remember really, to be fair. He's been excellent in far more games than he hasn't. And I think you could probably describe his performances as complete. He was my man of the match for sure. I think he just helped out those centre backs really well in terms of us being able to build out, calm under pressure, just fantastic. It was genuinely fantastic. And also, like, even the little things of just like, there were moments where he'd win little free kicks that would just break the game up. Like, just stuff like that. Just like, he's so good at that. If you're trying to play out from the back and he's there for the pass, he'll roll the defender or midfielder that's pressing onto him and go down quite softly and quite cheaply, but it'll get a free kick and then it just stops and resets the game. I thought our game management towards the end of this first half where we were 2-0 up was great, and that is something that we've been quite critical of before, and he was a part of that as well, just keeping the ball and knocking it off players for a throw and just slowing the game down and recycling it. Because, again, without Romero, and we've spoken about this before, I think you lose that player in your team that puts their studs on the ball and just stops and calm things down. I thought Bissouma was excellent at that. I thought Bissouma had a brilliant game.
And Sarr next to him as well.
God, yeah, they were great. And we could I think they're a separate point to talk about because they were just amazing. But that was what Maddison was doing as well, just slowing the game down and speeding it up when it needed to be sped up. He was He was absolutely brilliant, I thought.
There was a moment as well where he's in the bottom left-hand corner of in our sort of defensive phase, and he's just popping it about. And that he's drawing the press, and then all of a sudden we're away. And that's
the one I was talking about. That was the Son chance. That was the Son chance.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, yeah, it was, yeah. But I was actually, I think I was falling into the noise of criticism towards Maddison this season. And when you asked me last week, like, why do you actually feel that? I didn't even have an answer for you. And I think it's because weirdly enough, because he was flawless on Saturday, but I think it's because this is what we need from him or want from him every single time we play in a big, big game, for him to grab a game by the scruff of the neck, because he did. Him and Kulusevski grabbed this game by the fucking balls and dictated the way the game went. And that's what we've been crying out for in certain games this season, which we haven't quite had. And I think I look at Maddison because he's just part of the leadership team and because I know how good he can play. So, but I don't think that's anything against his ability. This is exactly what we needed from him. And it was exactly what he needed personally, because now people already talk that game in isolation, on the big stage, on Sky Sports. That's what's going to get people talking about him being in the England team again. And he needs that boost. He needs that on his birthday. Like, the whole narrative was written for a Maddison's fucking special. Do you know what I mean? So, I was so happy for him on a personal level, because this was like the big stage, like shushing the critics, shut up the critics. But I'm going to read you a stat that completely contradicts what I was saying about him in big games, because he's got more away goals in the Premier League versus the Premier League Big Six than Suarez, Drogba, Van Nistelrooy, Torres, and Ronaldo. So don't listen to me, basically. But I just thought we haven't had many games where he is our guy in these big games. And I'm thinking, maybe off the top of my head, Arsenal away last season, Liverpool at home last season. But these are in the first 10 games. This was what we were seeing. So that was the expectation. And I feel like he's been a bit of a downfall. He's been a bit of an architect of his own downfall in regards to he set those standards so high in those first 10 games that he obviously had an injury, and ever since he's been trying to battle to get back to that level, and people criticizing him, including myself. So
I think we've all been a bit like that. I
was so happy.
Yeah, we've all been like that. And also, I think one thing that we've referenced as well in the past is sometimes his body language and sometimes the moaning and all that kind of stuff. But you watch him back. If you just watch the game back, and if you just watch Maddison, he's constantly, as soon as he gets the ball, he's dictating the whole game. And you talked about grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck. And I think that's one of the unfortunate reasons why Maddison has kind of suffered this season in terms of the criticism that he's getting, the lack of praise that he deserves, is because he's lived in Kulusevski's shadow a little bit, because Kulusevski has also moved into the same position on the other side
Yeah,
of the
big
pitch.
time.
And
Yeah, that's a good point.
Kulusevski, we all know, is that player that will grab the game by the scruff of the neck. There is evidence of that. When Maddison was out, who stepped up last season? Kulusevski in that run. And Decky's done that how many times for Spurs? I know obviously he's had up and down periods, but he has always been able to do that for the most part. Grab game by the scruff of the neck and drag Tottenham with him. They do it in different ways though. Like for two players that play in the same position, similar positions, you won't find too many different players. But they're both incredibly effective in different ways, and I think they both lead in different ways as well. But Kulusevski is naturally more of a battering ram. Like you saw that for the third goal. I mean, it was unbelievable technical skill. I think battering ram doesn't really do him justice, to be honest, but he can be that. He can just be like, you want to come near me? I'm just going to fucking shove you off. Maddison will beat you.
Guardiola's a big guy as well. In fact, he just
bullied him, didn't he? He was just like, this is going out. This is going out. Fuck you off.
I don't even know how he did it. He's so unorthodox as well. It didn't even.
I thought that ball was gone. I really did.
No. He just like shuffled his legs, and all of a sudden the ball's out of his feet, and he's away from Guardiola, who's an agile beast. And then the ball for his end product was a joke. We are going to get onto Kulusevski, but sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, I think that's kind of it on Madders. To be honest, I just think that he also like. There was these rumors about him fucking falling out of Ange. Just like, I mean, we'll talk about that a bit more, like generally about the Ange stuff. I think that falls more into that. But I was listening to him. I was listening to his interview on Match of the Day, and he was just like, he's aware of all of this. He's aware of all the. And I think Vicario said something about like
he posted it.
The noise or something.
Noise.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise or something. It's like they're aware of these things, and they're just like, like there has to be a crisis or a story at Spurs. It's like it just is what it is. But I was listening to him speak in that interview, Maddison, and he was just very much like, I know there's been this thing about me being in and out of the team and all this kind of stuff, but I'm working hard. I'm doing all these things, and again, people won't give him. I tweeted this out on. I tweeted the TikTok that I made about Maddison on Saturday. I tweeted it out after the game, and someone replied and absolutely nailed it. Excuse me. Absolutely nailed it. Someone said, "Oh no, I can't find it." They nailed it. I can't even find the tweet. But they basically.
Whilst you try and find that, I wanted to touch on that point you just made about the media. They knew we were playing Man City. They knew Guardiola just signed a new contract. They were setting themselves up for us to get battered, and then to start really accelerating in these articles. They were coming from Postecoglou's head. It's evidence. It's evident, and they are. That's one of the main factors in why I'm constantly just over the moon. I mean, the dopamine's still hitting, but I'm so happy because we would have had a whole week of Ange out, media articles coming for him, gunning for him, because we lost to Manchester City. But instead, we've come out, beaten Man City away from home 4-0, and there's silence. And actually, do you know what there is a lack of? Acknowledgement, and in the media, a lack of just what's the word I'm looking for? Just
basically just praise for Ange, isn't it?
Positive praise. Yeah, there's no praise. It's City are a bit like fucking hell. City are a bit weak. Like there's problems at City. They're in a crisis. Ange would have been gunning for Ange this week if he'd lost that game. Yeah, because they would have looked at Ipswich and then this after the international break, but absolutely bent Man City over, and it's silence.
Yeah, but which is crazy because again, I think I said it earlier, like. It didn't really hit me at the time how big a result that is. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just like, because I was so like almost. I couldn't really believe what I was watching in terms of how
I was confused.
I was a bit confused, but I was like, I also wasn't that surprised that we can show that we can play that well because I know we've got it in us. And I'm not going to sit here and be like sound arrogant about the fact that I thought we were going to smash City because I didn't think that. But. I wasn't necessarily too surprised with what I was watching and how we were able to dismantle them. I wasn't. But partly because of that, and obviously I was nervous when we were in the lead and that kind of stuff because we've been here before and all that. But I didn't really hit me at the time that is one of the best ever away results in Premier League history for any team ever.
Yeah, massively. Yeah,
Man City have not lost by 4 goals in the Premier League at home since 2001. They've not lost at the Etihad in 50-odd games. And we just went there and won. I don't give a shit if they've 52. I don't give a shit if they've fucking like lost 4 in a row. We went to Man City, won 4-0. And then like cobwebs when it comes to Ange. Like absolute silence.
Without Romero and Van der Ven as well. And without
but they've got no Rodri. Oh, no Rodri. No,
yeah, Rodri. I know. It's so annoying.
Oh, cry me a fucking river.
Dick them up.
Build your squad better and you won't have this problem. Like, genuinely. And it's to the point, I don't want to drag it back to City too much, but like, obviously there's these rumours maybe that they might go and buy someone like Zubimendi in January. That ain't going to solve it. Like, I don't know. It's because it's also not just about Rodri. It's not. No, I don't think it is. But I found the tweet, by the way, what I was going to say. Someone about Maddison. It was Aditya Singh, who's always very good on Twitter, Spurs fan. So Lily White Lab tweeted, Maddison incredible today, so composed on the ball, knitting things together and completely shifting momentum by breaking lines. He was so brave, never hid and demanded the ball in really difficult areas, which is what we spoke about. Personality is the most important thing in these big games, and he had it in abundance, which is spot on. And that is one thing you think about Maddison is the personality. Again, sometimes there are these narratives that goes hiding or whatever. So I tweeted saying the perfect word for that Maddison performance, personality. I found the narrative around him so weird this season. A few bad games, yes, but he's largely been great, superb today. And this guy replied saying, it's because people refuse to see that when he's benched, it's not because he's been bad, it's because of the different traits that are required for different games, like the running power of Sarr, which is spot on. We all see that, we know that. But again, because it's the symmetry of like the media don't want to give Ange the credit for being tactically flexible, mixed with the fact that James Maddison is a fiery character and they see that who might be a little bit inconsistent and flaky, so they presume that he's just been dropped. And it's those two things put together that have created this weird narrative around the Maddison thing, all because of the fact that he got subbed off at halftime against West Ham. You know, it's crazy.
They're trying to look for a recipe for like to put together.
And Ange literally gave you the answer. You asked about it. Exactly. And you asked Ange about it after the game. You asked Ange about it after the West Ham game and said, why did you do that? And he told you exactly why he did it. Nothing to do with Maddison's performance. He created more chances in that first half than any fucking cunt did in the weekend after it. He told you why he done it. Just listen to the man. Do you know what I mean? It's all well and good being like, first 10 games of last season where things are going well, it's like, oh, you know, he's my mate, he's great, fresh air, all this kind of stuff. Give him the fucking credit he deserves. Put some respect on his name. Because this is a top manager. I genuinely believe that. Unreal. But Maddison was quality.
Well, going back to the performance, Maddison, mate, so good. And that's exactly what we know he can do. And like you said, he has been doing that this season. I raised my hands up because last episode, like I said, you said, like, why do I feel so, like, why am I so heavily critical of Maddison in particular when he's actually been dropping really, really, really good performances? And I didn't know. And I think it's because we look to him in bad times, and if he's not showing the levels, the unrealistic levels that he was showing in those first 10 games, we get a bit critical, and that shouldn't be the case because he's just like, he's such a good footballer. But going back to the performance, Vicario, I think, was a microcosm for how the team went about the whole game and the game management, because he was assured, he was professional, he was brave, calm, and disciplined. The whole performance, and I think the way we set up as well, really, really suited Dragusin and Davies.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
I've been really. It was just all round just perfect. Like the whole game was just perfect for every individual on that pitch. It suited everyone. Everyone had their tasks, and everyone executed it to a really efficient level. Dragusin, he had a really good game. Not once did I really think, oh, he looks a bit shaky. He was out of his depth. He's up against Haaland, remember, yeah? But the way we set up out of possession, really compact, really pragmatic in a way, except when we got the ball, we all bombed forward. And within, for 15 minutes, we took a couple of punches. But after that, we grew in confidence. We obviously scored in our first real chance. And then from there, we were just settled. And the way we were so compact, the way we were a bit passive in our press. Not Solanke because he was relentless, he was like a dog,
Mate,
and
so good,
not Son and Kulusevski because they were relentless as well. And Doggy and Porro were very much involved in the press. Whenever they would shift the ball over, they'd spearhead the press from out wide, and then you'd have Maddison tucking in to sort of cover them, etc. And it just worked really well. We were really hard to break down, which that's a misconception in itself, that we're easy. We completely nullified Manchester City's game plan and completely ruled out any vulnerabilities that they could exploit. And actually, in a way, it's weird. My favourite 3 games Postecoglou's so far have come against Man City.
Yeah.
I think one of them we lost, but the home game, it was something we tried something different. It worked really, really well. In different circumstances, we would have won that. I'm sure of it, because obviously the home crowd were it was an awkward situation, obviously, because we would have given Arsenal the title if anything, but a loss. But he changed it up. The next one was the Carabao Cup. We dismantled City, and again we were pragmatic in our style of play. It went out of possession. We were still brave in pressing, etc. But we held back, and I think it shocks Man City every time we do that, because they think I think they believe they're gonna play a team that's gonna open up so many holes for them to sort of capitalize on. And then obviously this game over the weekend completely nullified them, but we've still got the personnel to absolutely do them on the transition, because we've got Solanke, we've got Son, we've got Kulusevski ball carrying, we've got Maddison making those runs from deep, Saar with his legs, Bissouma wriggling out of the press. It's perfect. So, a doggy Porro bombing forward, but then out of possession we were just so professional and disciplined. That it's one of my. I mean, obviously, it's my favorite. I'd say it's my favorite.
I think so.
Favorite, but just because as well, it's Ange silencing the critics. Just saying, look, I've got this in my locker. I understand football. I'm not just on the sidelines with my hands in my pocket, looking like a fat uncle on a bar, staring at a barbecue. Down in the summer. Yeah, and not being proactive on the touchline, not being animated, and playing a really, really playing dangerous football and where we're left exploited a lot. It was perfect, and it did silence a lot of critics. But 100%. We got a question from Jack, sort of elaborate on that. He says, Jack, this is Jackie Nick out, Jack Doyle. He says, given how well we seem capable of playing in big games this season, does that give confidence that maybe it could be our year to win a cup when we're up for it every single game? Apart from the North London derby and Newcastle, it could be argued that complacency is to blame for all other points we dropped. Before you answer that, I think it's really interesting, because when I was watching the game, I actually was thinking something like on similar lines, of where I feel like the adaptation we showed in that game and in the game plan is how we need to set up in every knockout game, because we completely nullified the opposition. But it's hard, because every team, every good team has a way they're going to play at home and away, or against lower side teams where they have all the possession versus big games. So it's a bit different. It's difficult to judge. But I'm adamant that pragmatism wins you cup competitions. It does.
Yeah.
So if we can go into every knockout game the way we did against Man City, where we completely we weren't ever really vulnerable, yet we overwhelmed them in transition and overwhelmed them in every single attack, and we had a set game plan of how we were going to hurt them. We need to do that in cup competitions.
Yeah. I'd probably agree with that. Again, it depends on the opposition, but especially when you're coming up, I think it massively works against a team like City. Like, coming back to what we were saying at the start about why I was kind of quietly confident going into this game, and why I was really confident going into the cup game, is because on transition, that is their massive weakness, and it is a massive, massive strength of ours. Like, I know Ange ball as a philosophy is more about possession and, working from back to front, of course, and you can still be transitional and play it from the back. It's not like counter-attacking football and possession football can exist in the same team, and I think this Spurs side is a really good example of that. But you look at the players that we've got, We are literally built to be like an amazing counter-attacking team. Like Brennan Johnson and Timo
Yeah,
Werner.
absolutely.
Like let's not beat around the bush here. Werner, although he has had some I mean, it's not really worth spending that much time talking about Timo Werner, but he's had some frustrating moments this season. But he's a weapon. He's an absolute weapon off the bench. Johnson, again, like I don't know if we'll go back to
Brilliant off
Kulusevski
the
on the right
bench.
all the time. It was clearly a tactical decision, and maybe the fact that Brennan Johnson had played 90 minutes back to back and he plays a lot of football for Spurs in a very demanding role. Maybe that's why he wasn't put in. I think Ange actually said that it was more down to the fact that Kulusevski has always played well on the right hand side against Man City, and I think maybe you saw something there, a bit of a weakness in them, and that ability to kind of drop the ball in behind their back line with the quality of crossing that he's got from that side. But how many good ball carriers have we got? Like, and you've added for me, Solanke. Like, you've added someone there that I can't believe. What I was going to say was I can't believe how quick he is as well. Like that,
Rapid.
you know, the run that set up the Kulusevski chance. He just like, I can't remember who it was. I think it was a Kanji. Just like fuck off, and just like the speed in which he got from 20 yards into our half onto the edge of their box was frightening. But I do think with the players that we've got and how we can set up, maybe focusing on a more transitional game in knockout competitions, in bigger games is maybe the way to go. But again, Ange is going to see it differently depending on who the opponent is.
No, of course.
Like Newcastle, for example, in that game, like if you're talking about bigger games generally, we dominated all of the ball and it just didn't fall for us that day. Arsenal, we dominated the ball, but we also dominated them in the counter press as well. Like the amount of times we nicked the ball off them on the edge of their own box, like the two things kind of can exist. So I totally understand Jack's point. And I do think it'd be interesting to see if we are in semi-finals, quarterfinals in the second half of the season. Obviously, United is the next one we can look at. But I think, again, I was watching United yesterday. Like, again, it might have clicked more for Amorim in the next 4 weeks by the time we play them, but there's still a massive fragility and vulnerability there, and I back us to win that. And then I think we're in a semi-final. So, obviously bold to say that, but I think we can definitely beat them. We're a better team than them. We should beat them.
No.
And again,
at home as well.
Transitional game at Old Trafford when and also like I don't think United's pressing is anywhere near good enough, so we can break through them that way. So I think it depends on the opponent, but in terms of the overall point, I get it. Yeah, for sure. Get it.
It definitely depends on the opponent. But my worry, especially coming off the Ipswich game, was that I couldn't see us winning the cup competition if we were going to play that way. Just because on our day we blow everyone away, but if we have an off day, we are like susceptible to conceding like a lot of chances, I think. So, and in cup competitions, you have one bad game and you're out. So,
yeah,
this filled me with a lot of confidence. And like Jack says, yeah, it does give me confidence that if we're up for games like we are for Man City, I think I'm confident we can win a trophy. I flip flop on this all the time, but I'm going off the evidence. And yesterday was, I think it was our most disciplined, mature performance under Postecoglou, and this was without Romero and without Van der Ven. Weirdly, actually no, because but weirdly, if Van der Ven played, we may have even played a little bit higher up.
Probably would have, yeah.
And we may have conceded a little bit more chances, but the way we played really suited Dragusin and Davies. But obviously, if you've got Van der Ven's pace, why wouldn't you use it? And push up a little bit higher up. But again, we adapted well to just having Van der Ven and Romero out by dropping a little bit deeper and really, really making that midfield compact with the two defensive lines of the defence and the midfield really sitting in and just completely nullifying anything Man City had to like sort of throw at us.
If you look at the average positions, I might be wrong, but from memory, I'm just looking at it now. Well, actually, I was going to say something which isn't true, but Sarr and Bissouma are quite clearly kind of playing as a double pivot as the two midfielders, very central, just next to each other there.
Yeah.
Maddison is just ahead of Bissouma on that kind of left-hand side, but again, when you look back at the kind of pockets that he's picking up in, he spends most of the time in the left-back kind of position. That's where his biggest point of the heat map is. So often he's playing deeper than those two. Especially there were so many times kind of in the attacking, like say if we'd work, what we did really well as well, and Maddison was a big part of this, was our ability to sustain pressure. There was a moment I can't remember again if it might have been just before the second goal. We just didn't let them out. Like we'd play the ball from back to front, and then a cross from Son just wouldn't quite reach Kulusevski, but Kulusevski would go and chase it, win the ball back off of Guardiola, and then we'd come back into the centre again. And it was just two-touch passing to work from right to left, go back from the left to the middle, and just sustain that pressure and pin them back. We just kept recycling the ball really, really well. And Maddison, again, dropping into those more deeper pockets really helped us with that. And often Bissouma and Sarr were in front of him. What I was going to say was, I think from memory on the average positions, Bissouma and Sarr actually played further forward than Maddison, but that isn't true. But it's very, very close. It was definitely kind of a midfield three, but Maddison was dropping a lot deeper than both of them two at times in build-up. They were both ahead of him a lot of the time. And again, because Sarr's got the legs in transition that Maddison doesn't have. Bissouma was obviously a lot more central, offering that central pass. You spoke earlier about discipline, and I think that's probably a good segue to speak about Bissouma, because he got booked in the first 15 seconds of the game.
Yeah, oh my God.
And you're thinking, oh, fuck's sake. Like, that was the last thing I think we could have wanted. Like, not the last thing, obviously, better than fucking conceding a goal, but like having your 6 booked in the first 15 seconds of the game at City, I was just like, and
especially that Benton call.
Yeah, and he's got the fucking, well, exactly. I didn't, to be honest, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, like, the fact that, you know, he got sent off a couple of times last season for stupid, silly second yellows, and I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. He was brilliant. Absolutely so brilliant. Good. Like, really, really good after that. So
there was a moment as well with De Bruyne when he fouled Sarr and tried to pick him up. Sarr pushed him. Foden, interestingly, he went straight to Bissouma and shoved Bissouma.
Yeah, trying to get a reaction, second yellow.
He was trying to get a reaction, wasn't he? That's what Foden was doing. Bissouma just held back, and it was like, fucking, I was so happy seeing it. Obviously, I was watching it after when it was live.
Yeah.
Because I didn't watch the game live, annoyingly. But I was looking at it being like, mate, you could have spun the game on head by making a rash decision, where he has that bit of a reputation for doing that, judging off last season, just being really like petulant in certain aspects, in certain elements of the game, or in moments. That was that epitomized his performance.
Yeah.
Just a leader. Didn't do anything rash. Didn't do anything drastic. Led by example. Got the foul. Considered the foul first 13 seconds. Yellow card. Didn't let it drop. His head drop. Yeah, he was sensational.
Shows you how good. I think Flav said this on the Fighting Cock. Shows you how good we are. Shows you how good we are when our 6 plays well. When our 6 plays well.
Yeah, massively. Yeah,
some team. Yeah.
But what I liked, actually, and it worked well, and I'm not saying this is the way to go, because it definitely depends on the opposition, but when you got Sarr and Bissouma as that sort of solid structure of like double pivot, sort of as they were playing, and then you've got Maddison who's dropping it here, there, and everywhere, and got that bit more free roam, but obviously with defensive responsibilities. But Maddison, Kulusevski, Son, and Solanke as that front four. It works. The cohesion and the fluidity works so well because they can all be utilized in any position across the front four.
Yeah.
So they're really hard to deal with if you're a defender, because they're just constantly dovetailing and every attack we look like we were going to score, and then you have like Porro and a doggy coming in late, and obviously that's how Porro got his goal. He was completely unmarked. They're all looking at Kulusevski, Son, and Solanke. Oh, was Son playing? I can't remember. Yeah, he was.
No, yeah, I think it's just before someone off that 3-0. So yeah, it was.
Yeah. But then you've got Johnson and Werner when the game's a bit stretched, and when City got the ball, and for those legs, and for the transition when obviously City are gonna have the ball to try and get one back, and it completely killed off any last hope Man City had. And it was like really good game management from start to finish. Yeah, because really. They're so different to what we had already with the control and the precision, I think. But Johnson and Werner, they're so frightening on that in transitional attacks, and obviously shown in the goal, Werner doing Walker for pace. Yeah. Walker didn't even look bothered. He was just like, "Fuck this," and then cut it back for Johnson's really well worked goal. But Kulusevski, let's talk about Kulusevski.
Yeah,
he was playing off the wing. How surprised were you when you saw that he was playing on the wing? And are you worried that he may be Pep's next target, that now he's signed a new contract? Because he's been incredible all season, but I feel like every single time he plays Man City, he treats it as like an audition. Do you know
I mean, I don't think you find a player that's got like I made a TikTok about this last night, talking about like the deck he had, and a Liverpool fan commented and was like, Kulu at the Etihad or Deki at the Etihad is like the equivalent of Salah at Old Trafford. Like it's just like they just own that kind of.
True,
I mean, he's got a goal contribution in every game that he's played there. 3 goals in the first 3, and then obviously got an assist on Saturday. I think, yeah, that does worry me a little bit, and I think you're right to talk about the fact that maybe he does kind of treat them as auditions, because I think he's got the mentality that he believes and the quality that he should be. Like, well, I don't want him to leave, obviously, but can play for a top club. But we need to match his ambition and drag. He needs to. We need to go there with him, because that new contract absolutely. For ages, I was like, Romero should be the priority, and I think I still believe that to an extent. But Kulusevski, new contract, what you want, bang, because he. And obviously we've got a question about it in terms of the leadership, and it's obviously been a big discussion over the international break because of the fact that he was a Sweden captain, and obviously that clip went round of "I'm hungry, let's eat" and all that kind of stuff, and just he backed it up. That's the thing, like. I know it was against fucking Azerbaijan or whatever, but he said that, got a goal in the first 8 minutes, got an assist, and helped Gyökeres score 4 goals.
Yeah.
So
Sweden are going to be a problem as well. They are.
They are. Yeah, they are.
Their team is slowly getting there, and it's looking for the next 5 years, looking absolutely bulked up in attack.
Do you know what? Do you think you said there about like the element of it being an audition? Do you think that kind of speaks to the insecurity of the Spurs fans that we can't believe we've got a player who turns up in these big games that regularly?
100%.
And that's what it is. It's like, nah, he's trying to he wants to go there. It's like, just to acknowledge that you've got an amazing player that just every word that I've thought this for a while with Decky, and I think
it's what he says, isn't it? It's what he says.
A bit like with Ange, like when he says things, you kind of hang on to every word. I think Decky is kind of like the mini. You read out Travis's question because I think it probably leads on quite nicely.
Well, actually, yeah, I feel like I know what you're saying. You know how like Jordan Henderson was Klopp on the pitch.
Yeah, I think it's that. I do think it's a little bit of that.
Is Postecoglou on the pitch because he epitomizes that, and like the energy, the aggression, the precision, the attack, never stop motto. The attacking mindset, he epitomizes Postecoglou's vision on the pitch,
and he is a leader, clear communicator as well. Like I think that's part of it. Like, just very like you hang on to every word he says because he's not talking in riddles. You read and you understand exactly what he's saying. It's the same as Ange. I do think he's kind of the mini Ange on the pitch. I think.
Yeah. So Travis Leveson, from the Lee White Lab, he's asked a question. He says, this is a sort of a half question, but I think, especially, sorry, I've got fucking.
Are you trying to say that it's more of like a statement rather than a question? Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, I genuinely think I've got what's it called? But you can't read.
Dyslexia.
Yeah. Or I'm just really low IQ. I can't read. This is sort of half question, not. But fucking hell, this conversation, this comment's fucking broke me.
The City result on that question has broke you. He said this is sort of a half question, half not. But I think, especially with Romero's recent performances, Kulusevski has really cemented himself as the leader in this team now, both on the pitch and off it. What do you guys think?
Nice one. Well, I just think like his potential. He's 23. What he's performing right now is
fucking crazy. By the way, like that. Is that right? Is he 23?
And maybe he's 24. Is he? I don't know. But he needs to spearhead this Ange Postecoglou project and be here for the long term. So 100%, he needs to be. He's the leader in the team. 100%. But I also think he's the player you need to. I think so. So basically, Gary Neville in the Gary Neville podcast after the game for Sky Sports, he was saying these are the performances when that get the attention of Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and I was thinking, fuck, like it's true, and Man City. I was thinking this is true. Like the whole world sees these games and sees how he's levels above not just everyone playing for Spurs, but Man City's players. He was levels above everyone on that pitch. Even when De Bruyne came on, Kulusevski was still the best player on the pitch at the moment. He's just a joke. We need to guarantee him the captaincy as a succeeding Son.
Yeah.
For him to, I think, sign a contract and say, you're the face of Tottenham now. go lead this team to great things, because he's got the ambition for it. Every time he comes out and talks, he's so articulate and he's so persuasive and he's so passionate. We need to back him up. We need to back and build this project around him, which is ironic, because last year we were thinking, how's he even fit in the system? But he's made himself be the system. Do you know what I mean? With his performances, that was a massive challenge for him in his career. People were writing him off, and he's now become our most important player in a system that originally we didn't even think fitted him. So that in itself is the example of how strong his mindset is, and how we need to have him at the front of and the face of this project. 23, 24. Did you check how old he is?
It's 24. Just 24 in April.
Just turned 20. Yeah, I mean, we need the best of his career at Spurs, and to do that, we need to back it up. We need to get him signed a new contract. We need to guarantee him that captaincy. He's not in the leadership group, I don't think, but he needs to be going forward. I mean, but also it's good if he's not in the leadership group. The whole team's starting to become the leadership group. Bissouma's marginally missed out, but he's still a leader in the dressing room. Kulusevski's arguably the leader without him being in the vice captaincy role,
kind of like
etc. Vicario's joined it.
Yeah,
exactly. We need these personalities.
Exactly. Leaders all over the pitch.
Yeah, but what do you think?
Ange just said it so many times. He's just like, well, he said, I think he said it like a few weeks ago when he was talking about he got asked about the lack of leadership, maybe because obviously it's a young squad, and he was like,
oh yeah,
he said, well, Brennan Johnson could be a leader. You know, like Bissouma could be a leader. It doesn't matter how old you are, you lead with your actions on the pitch, and I don't think there's any better of I don't think there's any player to better sum that up than Kulusevski, but he also then leads by example in some of the things that he says off the pitch as well. Like, again, like I said earlier, like you hang on to every single word he says in an interview. You do. He's that kind of player. And he's got that kind of mentality. I fucking love it. I love listening to him. It's just like, it's fascinating to listen to. I just think he's got this. I don't know. I think Harry Kane would probably maybe it's unfair on someone like Son, but Harry Kane was the last player I think we had at Spurs that was so, and it's easy to say this because it's fucking Harry Kane, and obviously we know he's got an amazing mentality, but in terms of that, just total commitment, you know, like, and that's not fair on Son. Son's of course in there as well, but like Kane's dedication to improving his game, I think that you're seeing that rub off on Decky. And I think maybe the fact that he came to Spurs at a young age, and Kane was, I mean, Kane's still doing ridiculous things now, but, you know, Kane was in his prime at that point, and I think probably that maybe rubbed off on him a little bit, like Kane's influence maybe at that point, especially as they were part of that really exciting front three when he first came in. I think I actually remember saying that, I remember Harry Kane saying once, which we shouldn't be surprised by, I think it was on pre-season tour maybe the year before he left, where he got asked about like who works the hardest or something. He was like, Decky. He was like, he's a freak, like just an absolute freak in training in terms of how hard he works and the running power that he's got and the running that he puts in. I want to ask you something actually, because I just saw a tweet. I was just looking through Twitter there. Someone tweeted saying, and it's something that I maybe want to touch on for maybe a video or something as well, because it's quite a. Oh, I can't find it now. I
saw a tweet before you find that. I saw a tweet. I can't remember, like in the last couple of days, about the recruitment strategy and how that is the recruitment strategy, like buying young players that maybe the system don't fit them at a big club, or getting the players that still have that scary potential, but it's not being utilised at the club they're at, signing them and putting them in a system that fits them, or making them the main man and giving them that belief in their talent. And what they're going to transfer over to your football club is the mentality of one of the biggest clubs in the world, like Juventus. And Kulusevski coming in from playing with Cristiano Ronaldo, who had this ridiculous potential and was always mature for his age, coming to Spurs. And over time maturing into like, and I'm saying maturing, he's still 24. He's still got so many years left of that maturing to do. But just the mentality is miles ahead of everyone else at the club, because he's been in that culture before, and it's about changing the culture. How do you change a culture of losing? You sign players like Kulusevski, and not sign players like Ryan Sessegnon from Fulham, or I don't know. That was
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I guess you have to balance it out a little bit. But that's the and players like Kulusevski don't come along that often. But
yeah, I also think
it's that recruitment strategy. I think.
Yeah, and it's like now, like we're going to have up and down results. We'll probably have another sort of Ipswich kind of result at this point, at some point in the season.
We'll lose to Fulham.
Lose to Fulham, but
next year.
Like I do when you've got someone who is Kulusevski isn't the face of the brand, like as in he's not Saka for Arsenal, he's not Salah for Liverpool, he's not necessarily the face of the club, but
he weren't blessed with appearance, was he?
I love his
face for radio, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. He's just a bit of a dork, isn't he? But I love him. I fucking love him. Every time I see his face, I just want to yeah. But when you've got someone who forget the being the guy, like because Kulusevski's not the Spurs, he's not the guy for Spurs. Son is the guy, right? Maddison is probably closer to being the face of the brand, right? But if you're talking about talisman on the pitch and the manager in terms of pulling in the same direction and where the fans want to go, I think Kulusevski and Ange, kind of coming back to what I was saying earlier about almost like he is the little Ange on the, well, he's a big fucker, isn't he? Bigger than Ange. Like the Ange on the pitch. And you've got the fans who want to win trophies. I think you've got everyone there. You've got your talisman. Hopefully we can have 11 talismen, but Kulusevski quite clearly is that guy right now of the one that's going to put his team on the back and do so much work. I think Solanke can also be that for sure as well. But I think Kulusevski, in terms of the producing of quality on a consistent basis, you've got a manager that wants to win and is desperate to change the culture. You've got a player there that is desperate to win and desperate to change the culture. I think that should be a really positive sign for Spurs. The tweet that I just saw was someone saying, I think we have a bit of a conundrum going forward, as I don't think Kulu on the right is the answer. But I'm also not sure having Kulu and Maddison midfield is as we need Sarr in there. But you also want both Maddison and Kulu to play. I genuinely don't know what our best team is. I think it's kind of like someone that I think made it spot on in the replies, to be fair, saying horses for courses, mate. Against low blocks that are tough to break down, it's probably Biss with Maddison and Decky. Against tougher sides, maybe away from home, it's Decky right, Maddison central with Sarr and Bissouma. Johnson is a great impact sub in these kind of games, which I think is probably true. I think that's probably true. Would you probably say that Decky is the way to go on the right-hand side in bigger games away from home, maybe?
I think for more control and precision and efficiency going forward. Well, I feel like Kulusevski, he's a monster at the moment. Whatever position, he's going to be the best player on the pitch. That's just that he's in that much of a flow state that you just anywhere you can trust him with your life that he's going to like drop a 10 out of 10 performance at the moment.
That's why earlier when you asked me, when you said earlier, were you worried about seeing him on the team sheet as the right winger? I was like, well, not really. Like I kind of it sort of made sense quite quickly, I think. And again, like you look at his average position, and some of the pockets that he picked up, he wasn't playing as a right winger, really. I know he obviously created the goal from the right hand side. He's kind of playing as a second striker. So. Yeah, and also when you've got the good thing about Kulusevski coming inside from that right hand side is that you're not going to lose that width. It's not about him coming inside. It's not about, and again, people bang on about he's got no pace or whatever. How comes then he was still able to create? If he's got no pace, counter-attacking chance where Solanke lays it off for him to where he cuts inside and has the shot saved by Edison. The one where he lays it on a plate back for Son where he's not quite in the right position. He doesn't need that pace. Slowing the game down for him is an advantage because he's got the physicality and the technical quality to go past you. Yeah, so I don't think it's that big an issue because you've also got, if you want to be transitional, Solanke's quick and he'll go round Decky if Decky wants to come inside.
Yeah.
Sarr's quick and a good ball carrier. He'll go round the outside of him and create that width on the right-hand side. Porro's quick. He'll go round that. It doesn't matter. And again, like you kind of said it earlier, and it's something that someone like Harry Brooks has always said, there are no positions. There are just roles and just instructions. Especially when you've got a front four that's as fluid as this Spurs one can be. And I think Solanke has added so much to that.
Yeah.
He's
100%.
He's a player that won't get the credit he deserves for that performance on Saturday. He's fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm glad he got an assist because it kind of means that he had an involvement to the people, to the casuals. He was fucking unbelievable.
Solanke, Maddison and Kulusevski, and this is like vital for the way we play and keep hold of the ball and make space for ourselves in attacking scenarios. They're three of the best players in the Premier League at manipulating angles for themselves and creating angles for themselves, but with the manipulation of the ball. And I mean, Maddison, I'm watching the game and he's sending me like with his body feints and his position of his feet, etc. I'm like, like a dog with a ball when you like fake throwing it.
Yeah,
that's like me watching Kulusevski, Maddison, and Solanke play. Like, where the fuck is the ball? And then they're away from the defender. And Kulusevski. Sorry, I was trying to think. I don't know why I said Kulusevski there. I just fucking love Kulusevski. But what I was trying to think back of what we were talking about is the use of the squad. That I still think we're figuring it out. I mean, I still think this is a process. We're going to figure out what personnel we're getting there. Sorry, I just finally hit puberty. We're getting there. We're seeing we know now what players we're figuring out what players work for what games. Like you're saying, with low blocks, play Kulusevski, Maddison in midfield, etc. And it will click, and it is clicking of having a game plan and having a set team for different games, which we do anyways. We do that, but I feel like we're going to see this. It's going to be enforced a lot heavier now going forward, and because it is clicking, fans now know what to expect in certain games, and the players will know their instructions and what they need to do, their tasks, their personal tasks, and Ange will know who brings what to the table, and then that's where we go from there in a transfer market, because our recruitment's been really good. I think it's been not really good at all, but
we've left ourselves short. But in terms of the players that have been brought in, I think
player profile, we're giving ourselves an amalgamation of different profile types, which that's the only positive I can take from the last transfer window, is that we're identifying players that can play in multiple positions for different games. Like, we're going to see the best of Gray in the next 5 years, but that's what's frustrating. It's not for the now, but in 5 years he's going to be a utility player. He can play anywhere on the pitch, really, in 5 years' time, I think. So
Gray's a super talent. He's a player that I'm really excited for. And again,
but it is going to take.
I do think with again. I think we all do, and I think we all hope that the Solanke transfer is a lesson to the board and Lang and whoever.
Yeah, massively. Yeah,
that if you go and buy proven quality, and people laughed when you say, people still do. People laugh when you say proven quality about Solanke, because maybe like one good season in the Premier League or whatever, but he's proving you wrong. He's proving consistently week in, week out that this is a player that was ready to make that step. And I think Tottenham got it bang on, absolutely bang on with that transfer. And I think hopefully you don't need to go and buy next summer, for example, right? You don't need to go and buy 3 or 4 £60 million players. This isn't what the squad needs. That's not what that squad needs. The dynamic doesn't need that. You need to invest in the players that you've already got with new contracts, etc., because you have got players there that are the equivalent of going to buy. Kulusevski, what's he worth right now? 90 million, 100 million. So you've got that there. You don't need to spend that. You need to give him a new contract that validates his status as a £100 million player. Do you know what I mean? Romero, maybe not so much at the moment, but let's not act like just because Dragosin and Davies have come in and done really well, by the way, and Romero's been a bit up and down, and he can fuck us off sometimes with some of the things that he does or says or whatever. He's a quality defender that you need to keep at the club, 100%.
100%, yeah.
So it's about investing in the squad that you've already got, but it just shows you that if you just add these little 60... This is what we were so bad at when Poch was the manager, because we had an amazing team then. All it took was 1 or 2. We just needed 1 or 2. Healthy competition in certain areas. There wasn't really a... it's hard now because it's like, I don't want to get carried away, but when our first team is playing as well as it can, where do you genuinely upgrade? But it shouldn't be viewed in that way. And I think because we looked at it that way under Poch, because I think we'd come from 5th,
nothing,
6th, 7th,
absolutely nothing. The team was wank.
It was wank before Poch came, and it was like we transitioned so quickly from wank into fucking hell. We're going somewhere here. Title challenges back to back.
Best 11 in the league, just not the squad.
Exactly. That is exactly what it was. So it was like, and we were having those conversations then about, but how do you actually improve that starting 11? And I think we probably fell into the trap of this inferiority complex around Spurs of just like, no, maybe we're going to be all right, and maybe we shouldn't buy that player because what if it upsets like, fucking Kane or whatever?
The dynamic.
But now, and that's what I'm saying. You don't need to go crazy. You really don't need to go crazy. And maybe we don't need a fucking other centre back, because Ben Davies is the best centre back in the world.
Sign the contract, big
Yeah,
boy.
big boy, sign the contract. Don't
contract.
let him go. I don't want him to
Keep
go.
him, mate. Yeah.
Daddy Davies.
Yeah. How many times it's so weird with Davies because he has so many games where people are like, how is fucking Davies still at the club? But he has so many games as well where he's like, just want to shake your hand. He just steps
I want to
in
shake his hand.
and you don't miss anyone. He's just like he's just so competent and leading by example, dropping 6 out of 10s. He's a little bit like James Milner for Liverpool back in it like 5 years ago.
And he's still playing in the Premier League.
And he's still playing in the Premier League. Ben Davies will be playing in the Premier League for the next 5 years. He will be, even though he's 32, something like that, 33.
He's so good, man.
I love him, and he's going to be really missed. And we need to replace Davies in the squad. We need more Davises. Oh, that's not true. Just keep Davies. He's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Though?
Every squad. I said this so many times. You're right. We probably need another one, but every squad needs a Ben Davies. 100%. Every squad needs a Ben Davies. He's just Mr. Reliable. You never fucking hear from. He just. But the way I was watching Ashley Williams on Match of the Day, who is a brilliant pundit, by the way, I'd say. He obviously played with Ben Davies, and he was giving him a lot of praise for the performance, but a lot of praise for him as a person as well, which he's going to do. He's his mate, but it's true.
Yeah.
I don't think you find anyone with a bad word to say about that guy, and he's he's a fucking legend.
Model professional as well.
Yeah, absolute legend, mate.
So what do you think this win can do for us this season, like going forward? Because I don't want to say it, but this win was so good it actually made the Ipswich game worse.
Yeah, but don't get that out of your head.
Just let's forget the Ipswich game.
Yeah,
I know,
but the weekend. I was getting tweets 2 minutes after me going, "What a performance! Really well done, Spurs." Going, yeah, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't beat Ipswich. Just fucking enjoy it.
But it made the Ipswich game worse.
It did make the Ipswich game, and it is true. Like it is true.
It made it because it's like we're so Spurs.
But
Spurs can swing both ways. It's not just but this is where I'm bricking it because it did us doing that. It was like, oh my god, like why? I'm so confused right now. That was me because I was so set on us getting smashed that I'd gaslighted myself into accepting it before it even happened. That's not the Ange way. That's a coward. That's a cowardly move. And I raised my hands up. Said I'm sorry.
I made a mistake.
A genuine mistake. But it did make the Ipswich game worse. What I'm saying is we forget about the Ipswich game. But moving forward, we've now got Roma and Fulham. So we must back this up now because obviously I'm thinking we played Fulham after we dicked up Aston Villa away from home 4-0 last season.
Yeah.
We went to Fulham. I know we're at home against Fulham.
We are at home, yeah. We got two next games at home. One of our worst
performances last season against Fulham. They absolutely outdone us in every aspect on the pitch. And that's where we need to back this up now. We can't just be all happy that this needs to be a catalyst in our mindset going into certain games, every game. And actually, Ipswich, the juxtaposition and the drastic switch shift from losing to Ipswich to beating Man City away from home, that needs to be the biggest wake-up call, like together, put them together, biggest wake-up call for this going forward. We've got a young team. We're going to have off games, but we cannot underestimate any game. We need to treat every game with the same level of intensity. Kulusevski was saying, didn't he say something like if we lose like that, we're stupid or something like that? Because you're underestimating your opponent. Everyone in the Premier League is a tough game. I know Man City, you're all going to be up for it. But you need to then go to Fulham and absolutely. I'm not saying we have to like smash them up. Just another assured performance and grow in that maturity. Yeah, grow in that maturity. Try and keep that consistency of not conceding many chances and try not to concede any goals. Obviously, you're going to concede goals in football, but and this is we're Spurs, but like. You know what I mean? Like, back it up with an assured performance and show the trajectory and show that level of maturity and acknowledging that every single game is going to be difficult. So you cannot ever drop a percentage of intensity. This is what I want to see. I'm buzzing with a Man City game, but I'm actually a little bit nervous going into Roma and Fulham because back-to-back games, they're going to be really tough. I know they're both at home, but Roma, It's Spurs. It's Spurs. Like you can't write anything off.
I think
So
they
I want to see
lost
that sort of-
they lost Ranieri's first game, didn't they, to Napoli? But apparently they defended really well. So they're going to be new manager
Really,
bounce. It's going to be, and they've had a terrible season. They're only a few points above the relegation zone. But
yeah.
you're right. I mean, I just said there about like just go and win 2-0, whatever. We haven't won a game in the Premier League this season where sorry, let me rephrase that. In every game we've won in the Premier League this season, we've scored at least 3 goals. Like our lowest margin of victory was against Brentford, where we won 3-1, and then we beat you Everton 4-0.
There's never just a 1-0
United
or
3-0.
something in the middle, is there?
Our last 3 wins in the Premier League, we scored 4 goals. Villa, West Ham, and Man City.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing?
I'd also be pissed off if we concede first to Fulham.
Yeah,
like because that's a trait that's a consistent trait of conceding first at home or something like that, isn't it? How many can't keep? It's not sustainable. So we need to show that acknowledgement and that discipline and ruthlessness of scoring first at home and just having an assured game where we don't have to fucking worry about anything as fans. Like where we can watch it, put our feet up and go, this is great. Because I'm nervous. That game against Man City, I do not want to look at that game in isolation. I want to look at that game as the catalyst that the Ipswich and Man City game, that's what I'm thinking. They need to be looked at side by side because we've gone from one fixture to the other. That needs to be an example of what happens when we're at our lowest and what happens when we're at our highest, and where do you want to be there? What game do you want to play? And it's a young team. We need these. Man City. This was no one wanted. Like the Man City game, that was way higher than anyone's expectations and also demands. No one expected us in any world to beat Man City 4-0 away from home. I think we wanted to show. I think what we wanted to see fight, and we wanted to see a lot of positives to take away from Man City because normally you don't take any positives away from Man City. But we absolutely obliterated them, and no one was expecting that. And now we can't, like, as players and young players, we need to, and fans, we need to all take this together, and that be the change in our mentality of what we need to now demand every single game. If that makes sense, I've sort of, I don't know what I've sort of lost.
But by that same token, we can't have a fucking existential crisis every time we lose a game. Do you know what I mean? It's
that is true. Yeah, it's true.
It needs to just
it's going to happen.
I know it's kind of contradicting what you just said, but I think we probably need to mentally prepare ourselves for the fact that we probably are going to have another Ipswich game at some point, right? Which is an unacceptable kind of defeat. But I think we shouldn't have to accept that. You shouldn't accept that. But in terms of mentally preparing yourself, it's probably a good thing. I'm
talking mentality more though. That should be the players' mentality.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Ipswich and think we cannot let that happen again.
Yeah.
And if it happens again, take the criticism on the chin, basically. I think they have because they've gone to Man City away from home, and Postecoglou's taken that as well. It's not even the ideal response. It's surpasses that. Yeah. I'm still pinching myself and thinking, like,
a win would have been the perfect response. A 4-0 win is like.
Yeah, I was expecting to wake up the next morning and see Lee Carsley in a press conference, fucking England, like, in the international break still going on.
Yeah.
But it was ideal. I feel we need to use this as a springboard now. Going into Roma and Fulham has to be a springboard.
It has to be, mate.
Yeah, legend. Are you going to the Roma game or not?
No, I'm actually not, because I fucking leave you with the fucking price now. I couldn't justify paying 60 odd for it.
Mate, Spurs Roma are both shit.
Exactly. The dopamine rush of Saturday very nearly made me go back on everything that I'd said and buy it.
Yeah.
And I'll be real, there's still 3 days to the game. That could happen.
And tickets they're still available, aren't they?
Well, this is the point. Why don't price it like a mug. Like, but don't also make me look like a mug if I do buy one. So I apologize for that.
You're just on a high. You want some more dopamine, yeah. You're like an addict.
Yeah, just normal men. Just innocent men.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was actually going to go to the Roma game, and I think originally it was like 37 quid or something, and then Ranieri took over or something, and the prices skyrocketed. What is that? What happened?
No. It's because Levy looked at it as it's Roma.
But
Big
it
European
changed.
game.
The prices definitely changed, didn't they?
No, it didn't. I don't think it did.
Oh,
Because they
originally I thought
fucked.
like
Levy's
27
fucked it.
quid.
Because like, do you remember when we were in the Champions League or even in the Europa League where they used to do like you could buy, say when it was 3 home games, you could buy it as a package and you pay.
Oh,
It was the same amount, so you could just pay like 100 quid or whatever for the 3 group games, and that was it. Because you get like a good team, a shitter, and whatever else. They didn't do that this year because it was like, well, we've got a couple of shitters, but it's like we've also got Roma, so it's like I don't know why they didn't do
Roma
it.
are fucking shit as well.
No.
I know we probably like
And the next home game is Elfsborg. Respectfully, who the fuck is that guy?
yeah. I mean,
I might go to Roma, but at the moment I'm not because I the only thing is that making me think I should go is just for the loyalty points, but we'll see. Might be there. Might not
that's how Levy reels you in, mate.
I know.
You're happy, clap up.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
No, I no fucking way am I paying 60 quid to go see Spurs Roma.
No,
like
are you not going?
No. I was going to. I was going to, and again, like I say, we still could, but
yeah,
I'm never going to financially recover from this.
Yeah,
if I decide to go, because you got to think about the transport, the food, the drink, the whole day. Like it puts a massive dent. I'm a uni student. It's gonna fucking.
Yeah.
I'm never actually going to recover from this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not going to go, but I'm looking forward to a Spurs game for the first time in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I wasn't looking forward to the City game at all. Now I'm buzzing. I'm ready to get hurt again.
Yeah.
Everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't subscribed, and you did like it, hit the subscribe button because I think we're on our way to 1,000 subs on YouTube, and we kind of want to hit that before the year anniversary of the pod, which is what, February. Let's try and aim for it before the new year, but obviously we've got like a month.
Fuck it, come on.
Let's if you haven't hit it, hit the subscribe button.
We're playing like every fucking. I think there's every game. Oh, I don't know what I was going to say then. We're basically playing every 4 days in December, so there's a chance. Yeah. And if we go on a run, we always know we get more views and more subscribers if we win. Yeah. So hopefully we go.
And if we're shit, and if it's gone, if we go into absolute disarray,
just don't unsubscribe.
Yeah, we're in it together. Let us be therapy. Yeah. Everyone, legends, thanks so much. Let us know what you think in the comments. Hopefully my internet was a little bit better. If I'm sorry, I don't know what it's going to be like at the moment, but I'm going to look back at it and hopefully it's all right. If it's not, I'll sort it out. But yeah, thanks for sticking by last couple pods because it has been pretty bad connection wise. But everyone, legends, up with Spurs.
All the best.
Onto Europa League. So happy.
I
can't. Whoa! I can't believe we fucking beat Man City.
I know neither.
I can't believe it.
We are back.
We're back.